Okay, this is Pumpkin, isn't that a great name? And this is Doogie, and this is a baby. And the baby likes to sleep, and Doogie likes to bark, especially when he hears certain sounds. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the principle of counter conditioning to stop your dog from barking when it hears a sound, and eventually to make the sound a replacement or an indicator that I'm about to get a treat. Now, I have some high-value training treats. These are chicken liver, and what I'm going to do is first I'm going to get the dog used to it. So the treats usually look more like a pellet like this. I've smashed it so now it's flat like a pancake. So what I'm going to let Doogie do is chew on it in little bits. And the reason I like doing this is so that he doesn't get it all at once. And you can see that he's really interested. Now he's a little guy. So I can turn, and if I'm doing this, sometimes I do this with dogs that are afraid of skateboards or people flying, driving birds or limes or things like that. So first step is I want to get the dog used to chewing on this flat treat in little bits like he is now. Now for counter conditioning, what we want to have happen is I've got the family's father who is outside by a door, and he's going to trigger the sound of the door opening, which is normally what causes the dog to bark. So for this principle, what we're going to do is before the stimulus in this case is the door, before that happens, I'm delivering a treat to the dog. Now I just gave 2 treats to the dog just to get Doogie used to eating a treat, nibbling like this, because a lot of dogs will back off it. So make sure you do this without the stimulation, or a stimulus, excuse me. So now what I'm going to do, every time I say a number out loud, we've arranged, so he's going to go ahead, and you can use a little gimbal if you need to make it go up or down. The gimbal's the bigger circle. So we've arranged a code. You don't want to say now, now, now. After a while, the dog hears now and starts barking. So we've got a code going right now. I say an actual number. He's going to open the door and trigger the sound. Next time you do it, you might want to say a color or a city or an actor name. Just come up with whatever code for you so the dog doesn't catch on. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, my 2 tests are, a lot of times, can the dog sit and eat the treat? If it won't sit or won't take the treat, the stimulus is too intense. So if the stimulus is too intense, the way I decrease the intensity is by increasing the distance, slowing down the speed, or turning down the volume. In this case, we're kind of at a fixed distance from here. So if he reacts to this, then I would move even further away from the door. Now, when I have him open the door, and he's listening right now, I want him to open the door in normal tone the first time so we can just hear how he does. So I'm getting ready. I'm going to start delivering a treat, and I'm going to say the word 13. And normally that would have caused him to bark, correct? Okay. So he's more busy eating this treat than he is barking at that. Now, when you're first doing this, you want to deliver the treat first, then the stimulus happens. And when the stimulus is done, the treat goes away. So we're kind of counter conditioning him. The thing that I don't like is the door opening. While that's happening, I'm getting a positive reinforcer. When the thing that I want happens, the door stops, the reinforcer goes away. All right, we're going to get ready to do it again. And this time I want you to do as loud as you can. 12. No bark whatsoever. I probably should have done it before and after, but take it for my word for it. He goes nuts if he hears that sound. So the first stage is just do it like this until the dog doesn't respond anytime that door opens. The next stage is when we want to make the shift. Before we're delivering the treat before the stimulus happens, now we're going to do, and this is way too early, so he probably will respond here, but it's good at demonstration purposes if he doesn't. If he doesn't, that means he's really smart or he's really getting it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him the trigger to trigger the sound, or the code to trigger the sound, and after the sound happens, then I'm going to give him the treat. So at first we're counter conditioning. Now we're saying when the door opens, that means you're about to get a treat. Instead of barking, you should be like, thank God, let's open the door some more. All right, go ahead and number 1. There we go, we got 1 little bark. I probably shouldn't have given him that treat because he did bark, but like I said, this is way too early to do it now. Usually you want to do what we call 5 for 5. I want to practice this and have him make the sound 5 times in a row before I try to make that transition. So we're going to go back to the other one, and we're going to go ahead and say the regular numbers. So now I'm going to say number 3, number 7, number 12, he's lost some on the floor. Give me 1 sec. All right, 44. There we go. All right, now we're going to do one after. Now we do what we call warm up. And this is, again, way too fast for you guys to be doing it here. I just want to encapsulate the video. So now we're going to say 57. 57? So now he hears the sound, and then he gets the treat after. This is essentially making the sound a command word to get a treat. And basically the whole point of this is he now has a positive association with that as opposed to a negative. Now you can do this with other sounds as well. You just have to be able to trigger it with precise timing. Now, like I said, if it's on the street and it's somebody that's moving by, you might have to move further away, or you might arrange, if it's like he doesn't like birds or the limes, you might have a friend on a bird or a lime so you can control their movement and create a scenario where you get to practice and set the dog up for success. For some reason, when it comes to dog training, we always try to train the dog in the most difficult situation possible. What I do is I cheat. I create a scenario where I control all the elements, and I make it the easiest version possible, and I help the dog practice the first step of the easiest version until the dog does the behavior I want over and over on that first step. Only then do I do the second step, third, and so on. And eventually, once I've done all the steps individually and the dog is behaving how I want, I do them all successively in the easiest version possible. Then I gradually start raising the criteria. So for a bird, I might actually have him, and the nice thing about this technique is you can get the dog to look at things. So if he is reactive to, let's say, skateboards, I can have him chewing. I want to hold my hand so he's looking. This is where he's looking. So the skateboard would be over there. As the skateboard comes by, I'm going to hold the treat so he's going to watch it go by. Now what I might do is at first have the skateboard go, you sit. There you go, sit. Have the skateboard going, or the skateboard bird or whatever going very slow at enough distance that I can I get my dog to stay seated and eat a treat while he watches it. And we keep on getting closer and closer until the dog starts getting up or won't take the treat. Then we know we're at the distance. Then I have him go slow, and then a little bit faster, and a little bit faster. I keep at the same distance until he's going as fast as he can at that distance. Then we have, and this might take several practices. Then we have the person take one step closer, and then go back to going slow and speed it up until eventually you can have the dog here, and the thing's going as fast as possible in front. And the dog's like, whatever, man, this means I get treats. Well, I'm going to give you one just for being Pumpkin and being for an old dog. This is Pumpkin, and this is Doogie Hauser, and these are some tips and tricks on how you can use counter conditioning to stop your dog from barking at various sounds.